I won $2 million in the lottery. Didn't tell anyone, just quietly invested it and kept living my normal life. 6 months later, my son somehow found out. Called me. "Mom, is it true? Did you win the lottery?" I said. "Who told you that?" He said. "Doesn't matter." "How much?" I said. "It's none of your business." He showed up at my house an hour later with a list. "Okay, so I need $100,000 to pay off my house. Sarah needs $75,000 for her business. The grandkids' college funds need about $200,000 total." He'd made a list of how to spend my money. I said no. He said, "What do you mean no?" I said, "I mean no. It's my money." He said, "But we're family. You have to share." I said, "I don't have to do anything." He called me selfish. Called me greedy. Then he called my other kids. Within a day, all 4 of my children were at my house. With lists, with needs, with demands. My daughter said, "Mom, you don't need $2 million. What are you going to do with it?" I said, "That's my business." My youngest said, "We're your children. We deserve this." I looked at all of them. Not one had said congratulations. Not one had asked how I was. Just hands out. I said, "Get out. All of you." They refused. Said they weren't leaving until I agreed to split it. I called the police and then... Before we continue, this fictionalized case study is based on documented cases of lottery winners experiencing family financial exploitation. According to the National Endowment for Financial Education, approximately 70% of lottery winners lose or spend all their winnings within 5 years, often due to family pressure and demands. Studies show that sudden wealth frequently reveals the true nature of family relationships, exposing entitlement and greed that may have been hidden during times of financial struggle. This examines your legal right to control your own assets regardless of family expectations, how to protect sudden wealth from exploitation, and how to recognize warning signs that family members view you as an ATM rather than a person. Now let me tell you my story. It was a Saturday evening in January, and I was doing what I'd done every week for the past 20 years, checking my lottery numbers. I'm Gloria Thompson, 72 years old, retired teacher, widow for 8 years. I live alone in Detroit in the same house my husband and I bought 38 years ago when we were newlyweds. Every Saturday, I buy a lottery ticket at the corner store. Same numbers every time: 7, 14, 23, 31, 42, and 15. Those numbers represent birthdays and anniversaries. My late husband's birthday, our wedding anniversary, the day our first child was born. I'd been playing those numbers for 2 decades. Never won more than $10 or $20 here and there. But it was a little weekly ritual that kept me connected to memories of happier times. That Saturday night, I sat in my living room with my ticket, watching the drawing on television. The first number came up, 7. I had that one. Second number, 14. I had that too. Third number, 23. My heart started beating faster. Fourth number, 31. I stood up from my chair. Fifth number, 42. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the ticket. Powerball, 15. I'd won. All 6 numbers matched perfectly. I sat back down heavily, staring at the television screen, then at my ticket, then back at the screen. The jackpot was $2.8 million. After taxes, I'd take home approximately $1.4 million. I'd won the lottery. My first instinct was to call my children, to share the good news, to celebrate this incredible stroke of luck. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the countless news stories I'd read about lottery winners whose lives were destroyed by sudden wealth. Maybe it was the warnings I'd heard about family members coming out of the woodwork demanding money. Maybe it was just instinct. Whatever it was, I didn't call anyone. I went to bed that night with my winning ticket hidden in my Bible, my heart pounding, my mind racing with possibilities and fears. The following Monday, I took a personal day from my part-time job at the library and drove to the state lottery office. I'd done my research over the weekend. I knew I could claim the prize anonymously in Michigan if I set up a trust. I knew I needed to be careful. At the lottery office, they verified my ticket, confirmed I'd won, congratulated me. "What would you like to do with the winnings?" the official asked. "I want to set up a trust to claim anonymously. And I need recommendations for financial advisors who work with sudden wealth clients." They gave me a list of names. I chose Robert Chen, a financial advisor in his 60s with 20 years of experience helping lottery winners and inheritance recipients manage their money. I met with Robert that same week. "Gloria," he said after I explained my situation, "the most important thing right now is discretion. Don't tell people. I can't stress this enough. Sudden wealth destroys relationships. People you've known your whole life will suddenly see you differently. Family members will feel entitled to your money. Friends will expect generosity. Everyone will have their hand out. I haven't told anyone yet. Good. Keep it that way as long as possible. The longer you keep this quiet, the more time you have to make smart decisions without pressure." We set up a diversified investment portfolio: municipal bonds for tax-free income, index funds for growth, a cash reserve for emergencies, nothing flashy, nothing risky. Just solid, conservative investments that would preserve and slowly grow my wealth. "What about my lifestyle?" I asked. "Can I buy a new car? Take a vacation?" "You can do whatever you want, it's your money, but I'd recommend waiting a few months. Let the dust settle. Let yourself adjust to this new reality. Then make decisions from a calm, thoughtful place rather than from excitement or fear." I took his advice. I continued living in my same house, driving my same 15-year-old Toyota, working my same part-time job at the library, attending church every Sunday, having lunch with my friends Margaret and Louise. Nothing changed externally, but internally, everything was different. I had financial security for the first time in my life. My husband had left me with a small pension and the house, but I'd always worried about money, about whether I could afford repairs when something broke, about whether my savings would last through retirement. Now I had $1.4 million invested conservatively, generating income, growing slowly. I could breathe. 6 months passed peacefully, quietly. No one knew about my windfall. I thought maybe I'd managed to avoid the nightmare stories I'd heard about lottery winners. I was wrong. It was a Sunday afternoon in July when my phone rang. Marcus, my oldest son, 48 years old, works in sales, married to Sarah, they have 2 kids. "Hey Mom, how are you?" "I'm fine, sweetheart. How are you and the family?" "Good, good. Listen, Mom, I need to ask you something. Is it true?" "Did you win the lottery?" My stomach dropped. "Who told you that?" "Does it matter? Steve's cousin works at the liquor store next to where you buy your tickets. He saw the news story about someone from your zip code winning big back in January. He mentioned it to Steve. Steve mentioned it to me. I put 2 and 2 together. You always buy tickets there, you use the same numbers. It's you, isn't it?" I closed my eyes. Small community. Word spreads, I should have known. "Even if I did, Marcus, that's none of your business." "I'm your son. How is it not my business?" "How much did you win?" "That's private." "Mom, just tell me. We need to know." "Why do you need to know?" "Because, come on, Mom, we're family. If you won money, we should know about it. We should be part of the discussion about what to do with it." The way he said "we" made my skin crawl. As if my lottery winnings were somehow communal property. "I'm not discussing this with you, Marcus." "Fine, then I'm coming over. We need to talk about this face to face." "Marcus, don't." He'd already hung up. I sat in my kitchen, my hands shaking, knowing what was coming. An hour later, I heard Marcus's car pull into my driveway. He didn't knock, just used his emergency key and walked right in. He was carrying a notebook and a pen. That's when I knew this was going to be bad. Marcus sat down at my kitchen table without being invited and opened his notebook. Pages and pages of handwritten notes, calculations, lists. "Okay, Mom, let's talk about this money." "There's nothing to discuss, Marcus. I've been thinking about this all week, ever since I heard." I made a list of priorities for how to use the money wisely. My money? How to use my money? He ignored me and continued. "First priority, I need $100,000 to pay off my mortgage. That would eliminate my house payment completely and free up $1,800 a month in cash flow." I stared at him, unable to believe what I was hearing. "Second, Sarah needs about $75,000 to start her catering business. She's been planning this for years but couldn't get a loan because of our debt-to-income ratio. With startup capital from you, she could launch immediately." Sarah was his wife. I liked her well enough, but this was outrageous. Third, college funds for the grandkids. I calculated we need about $200,000 total to fully fund 529 plans for all 6 grandchildren. That way they'll all graduate debt-free. He'd made a detailed spreadsheet of how to spend my money, my lottery winnings, money I'd won with my numbers, my ticket, my luck. Fourth, this house needs work. New roof is probably $15,000. New furnace another $8,000. We should budget $25,000 for home repairs for you. I found my voice. Are you finished? Well, there's also. I said, are you finished with your list? Mom, I'm trying to help you plan. The answer is no. Marcus looked confused, like he'd heard a word in a foreign language. No to what? No to all of it. No to your mortgage. No to Sarah's business. No to controlling how I spend my money. No to treating my lottery winnings like they are family property. What do you mean no? This is family. Families help each other. It's my money, Marcus. I won it. Not you, not Sarah, not the grandkids, me. But Mom, we're your children. You're supposed to share with family. You have to help us. I don't have to do anything. This is my money and I'll decide what to do with it. His face changed. The pleading expression disappeared, replaced by something uglier. Anger, resentment. You're being incredibly selfish right now. What are you going to do with $2 million? You're 72 years old, you live in the same small house, you drive a car that's older than my kids, you work part-time at the library for minimum wage. You don't need this money. We do. That's my business, not yours. Unbelievable. You win the lottery and suddenly you don't care about your family anymore. Suddenly you're too good to help your own son. I stood up from the table. Leave my house, Marcus. Mom, I said leave. Right now. He grabbed his notebook, stood up, and headed for the door. At the threshold, he turned back. This isn't over. I'm calling Denise and Kevin and Shanice. We'll see what they think about you hoarding money while your children struggle. He slammed the door hard enough to rattle the pictures on my wall. I sat back down at my kitchen table and cried. Not because I regretted saying no, but because my son had just shown me exactly what I was worth to him, $100,000. That's what our relationship meant to him. I didn't have to wait long. By the next afternoon, all 4 of my children had called. Denise, my daughter, 46 years old. Mom, Marcus told me about the lottery. Why didn't you tell us? We're your children. Kevin, 43. Mom, I heard the news. Congratulations. Listen, I wanted to talk to you about something. Shanice, my youngest at 40. Mom, this is amazing. I can't believe you won. So we need to sit down as a family and discuss how to handle this. Each conversation followed the same pattern. Initial excitement, then questions about the amount. Then subtle or not so subtle mentions of their own financial needs. By Sunday afternoon, they'd coordinated. All 4 of them showed up at my house together, with their spouses, 8 adults standing on my porch. I opened the door and looked at them. Marcus and Sarah. Denise and her husband Robert. Kevin and his wife Jennifer, Shanice and her husband David. We need to talk, Mom, Denise said. I already told Marcus no. Mom, just hear us out, Kevin said, pushing past me into the house. The others followed. They spread out in my living room like they were setting up for a business meeting. Each of them had papers, lists, calculations. I sat in my armchair and waited. Denise spoke first. Mom, I need $80,000 to cover credit card debt. Robert lost his job last year, and we've been living on credit cards to make ends meet. We're drowning in interest charges. If you could pay off our debt, we could start fresh. Kevin was next. Jennifer and I need $120,000 for a down payment on a bigger house. She's pregnant with twins, we just found out, and our current place is too small. We need more space before the babies come. Shanice pulled out her own list. We need $50,000 for medical bills. David had surgery last year that wasn't fully covered by insurance. We're on a payment plan, but it's killing us. We could really use help, Marcus added. And like I told you yesterday, Mom, I need $100,000 for the mortgage, $75,000 for Sarah's business, and $200,000 for the grandkids' college funds. They all looked at me expectantly. I looked back at each of them. My 4 children, the babies I'd carried, birthed, raised. The children I'd worked 2 jobs to put through college so they wouldn't have debt. The adults eyed helped with down payments and emergencies and babysitting and countless other ways over the decades. Not one of them had said, "Congratulations, Mom." Not one had asked, "How are you handling this? Are you okay?" Not one had expressed happiness for my good fortune. Just demands, expectations, entitlement. "Are you all finished?" I asked quietly. Denise nodded. We calculated the total. "We need about $625,000. That still leaves you over $700,000 for yourself. It's more than fair." The answer is no. Shanice's eyes widened. "Mom, you don't understand. We really need this help. You don't need $2 million. What are you going to do with it? You live in the same house. You drive that old car. You don't even travel. What I do with my money is my business." Marcus stood up, his voice rising. "But we're your children. We deserve this. You're our mother. Mothers are supposed to help their children." I looked at him carefully. "You deserve it." "Explain to me how you deserve money that I won." Kevin jumped in. "We don't mean deserve like that, Mom. We mean, you're our mother. You've always been there for us. This is just another way of being there for us. I raised you. I clothed you. I fed you. I paid for your college educations so you'd graduate without debt. I babysat your children. I've been a good mother. And now you want my lottery winnings on top of all that?" Denise started crying. "Why are you being so selfish? Don't you care that Robert and I are drowning in debt? You're drowning because you spent money you didn't have. That's not my responsibility to fix. We're your children, and I'm a person, not a bank, not an ATM. A person who won the lottery and gets to decide what to do with her own money." Marcus moved to block the doorway. "We're not leaving until you agree to help us." I looked at my children, all of them standing now, positioned between me and the exits. Shanice tried a softer approach. "Mom, remember when Dad died? We were all there for you. We helped you through that terrible time. We helped you plan the funeral, sort through his things, handle all the legal stuff. We were there for you. Now we need you to be there for us. You helped me bury your father. That's what children do. You were there for me during a tragedy. This is not the same thing. This is you demanding money and trying to make me feel guilty for saying no." Kevin's voice got hard. "That's an ugly accusation, Mom. You're holding me hostage in my own home until I give you money. What would you call it? We're trying to have a family conversation. Get out, all of you, get out of my house right now." No one moved. "I said get out." Marcus crossed his arms. "We're not going anywhere until you see reason." I stood up and walked to my phone, dialed 911. "Mom, what are you doing?" Denise gasped. "What does it look like I'm doing?" The dispatcher answered. 911, what's your emergency?" "I have 8 people in my home who are refusing to leave. I've asked them repeatedly to leave my property and they are refusing." Marcus's face went white. "You're calling the police on us? On your own children?" I kept talking to the dispatcher. "They're my 4 children and their spouses. They came to my house to demand money from a lottery win. When I refused, they said they won't leave until I give them what they want. Are you in immediate danger, ma'am? I don't believe they would physically hurt me, but I want them removed from my property. I've asked them multiple times to leave, and they are refusing. Officers are on the way. Please stay on the line." Denise was sobbing now. "Mom, please don't do this. We're family. Family respects boundaries. Family doesn't extort. Get out of my house." "We'll leave," Kevin said quickly. "We'll leave right now. You don't need to have us arrested." Too late. "The officers are already on their way. You should have left when I first asked." The police arrived 12 minutes later. Officer Williams, a black woman in her 30s, and Officer Davis, a black man in his 40s. They found 8 adults clustered in an elderly woman's living room, everyone talking at once. "What's going on here?" Officer Williams asked. Marcus immediately stepped forward. "Officer, this is just a family matter. Our mother is being unreasonable about." Officer Williams held up her hand. I asked the homeowner. "Ma'am, can you tell me what's happening?" I asked these 8 people, my 4 children and their spouses, to leave my property multiple times. They refused. They came here to demand that I give them money from a lottery win. When I said no, they told me they wouldn't leave until I changed my mind. Officer Davis looked at the group. "Is this your property, ma'am?" "Yes, I own this house. My name is on the deed." "And you've asked them to leave multiple times over the past hour." Officer Davis turned to my children. You all need to leave this property. Now, Kevin tried to argue. This is ridiculous. She's our mother. This is a family matter. Officer Williams's voice was firm. Family relationship doesn't exempt you from trespassing laws. The property owner has asked you to leave. You have two choices: leave voluntarily right now or be arrested for trespassing. Choose. Denise was crying hard now. Mom, please, don't do this. We're your babies. I looked at her. My babies wouldn't try to rob me. Get out. Slowly, reluctantly, they began moving toward the door. On the front lawn, Marcus turned back and shouted at me. You're making a huge mistake. We're your family. You're going to regret this. The officers stayed until all 4 cars had driven away. Officer Williams approached me. Ma'am, are you all right? I was shaking. I don't know. My own children just tried to rob me. What they did, attempting to coerce you into giving them money, refusing to leave when asked, that's a form of elder financial abuse. You did the right thing calling us. Officer Davis added, you might want to consider changing your locks if any of them have keys, and document everything that happened here today. If they try this again, you'll want a record. After they left, I sat in my living room alone. The house felt different now, violated somehow. My children had turned my good fortune into a nightmare, and I knew this wasn't over. The next morning, I called my attorney, Patricia Morrison. Patricia was a Black woman in her 50s who specialized in estate planning. She'd helped me with my will after my husband died. Patricia, I need an emergency appointment. I need to protect my assets from my children. We met that afternoon in her office. I told her everything. The lottery win, keeping it secret, Marcus finding out, the demands, the confrontation, the police. Patricia listened carefully, taking notes. Gloria, what you experienced is a textbook case of family financial abuse. Adult children attempting to coerce an elderly parent into giving them money. Can they sue me? Force me to share the lottery winnings? Absolutely not. The money is yours. You have no legal obligation to give them a single penny, but we do need to protect you going forward. How? First, we make sure they can't contest your will or claim you're incompetent. Second, we structure your assets in a way that removes their incentive to pressure you. Third, we make your wishes absolutely clear in legal documents that can't be challenged. What do you recommend? An irrevocable charitable trust. You transfer your lottery winnings into the trust, specify charitable beneficiaries, and the money is permanently protected from family claims. Even after you die, the money goes where you specify. Your children can't touch it. I want it to go to charities, people who actually need help, not people who feel entitled to it. Over the next week, Patricia drafted a comprehensive estate plan. An irrevocable charitable trust containing my entire $1.4 million in lottery winnings. Beneficiaries: Detroit Public Schools Foundation to fund supplies and programs for underprivileged students, the NAACP to support civil rights legal defense, the local food bank to feed hungry families, and a scholarship fund for low-income students at my old high school. My original will remain in place for my other modest assets, my house, my car, my small pension and savings. Those would still be divided among my 4 children, about $10,000 each. But the lottery money, completely protected, completely designated for charity. This is ironclad, Patricia explained. Even if they try to claim undue influence or challenge your competency, the trust structure prevents them from accessing these funds. And because it's irrevocable, you can't change it even if they pressure you to. When will they find out? Illinois law requires us to notify interested parties when a trust is created that affects potential inheritance. They'll each receive a formal letter from my office explaining the trust structure and their lack of claim to the funds. I signed all the documents. Patricia sent the letters, and I waited for the explosion. It came the next day. Marcus called at 7 a.m., screaming into the phone. What the hell is this? A trust? You gave everything to charity? You cut us out completely? I'd prepared for this. Stayed calm. That's right. My lottery winnings will go to people who need help. We need help. We're your children. You have jobs. You have homes. You have food. You don't need $100,000 or $80,000 or $120,000. You want it. There's a difference. You're punishing us for asking for help. No, I'm protecting my assets from people who tried to extort me. You showed me exactly what you think of me, Marcus. You think I'm an ATM, a source of money, not a person you love. That's not true. Then why didn't you say congratulations when you found out I won? Why didn't you ask how I was doing? Why did your very first words, include demands for specific dollar amounts? Silence on the other end. You proved you don't care about me, just my money. Well, now you'll never see a cent of it. We're your children, you deserve nothing. You burned that bridge when you refused to leave my house, when you treated me like property instead of a person. I hung up. Denise called 10 minutes later, sobbing. Mom, how could you do this to us? We're your flesh and blood. How could you try to rob me? We weren't trying to rob you. We were asking for help as a family. No, you were demanding, you made lists, you calculated amounts. You refused to leave my house when I said no. That's not asking. That's attempting to steal. We're your babies. My babies wouldn't have treated me like that. Kevin sent a long, angry text. You're being vindictive and cruel. We made a mistake in how we approached this, but you're punishing us forever. You're choosing strangers over your own family. You're choosing organizations over your children. What kind of mother does that? I responded simply. A mother who protects herself from people who only want her money. Shanice tried a different approach. She called crying, apologetic. Mom, please, we were wrong. We got excited and we handled it badly. We're sorry. Please reconsider the trust. Please give us another chance. What are you sorry for, Shanice? For pressuring you, for demanding money, for not respecting your boundaries. Are you sorry you did those things? Or are you sorry you lost access to $2 million? Long pause. Both, I guess. At least you're honest. But my decision stands. The trust is irrevocable. I can't change it even if I wanted to. You could set up a new trust for us. Goodbye, Shanice. Over the next 2 weeks, I received dozens of calls, texts, and emails from my children. All variations on the same themes. You're being unfair. We're family forgives. You're going to regret this. We're sorry, please reconsider. You owe us this. I blocked all their numbers, changed my locks, installed a security system. And for the first time in months, I slept peacefully. I started seeing a therapist. Dr. James Wilson was a Black man in his 60s who specialized in family dynamics and elder issues. Tell me what happened, Gloria. I explained the whole situation. When I finished, he asked, how do you feel about cutting them off? Sad, angry, but also relieved. I've always felt pressure from them. Always felt like I wasn't doing enough, giving enough, being enough. The lottery just made it obvious what our relationships really were, which is transactional. They love what I can give them, not who I am. Dr. Wilson nodded slowly. That's a painful realization, but an important one. I'm 72 years old. I don't have 20 or 30 years left. I don't want to spend what time I have feeling guilty for not giving away money I won fair and square. Over the following months, Dr. Wilson helped me process the grief of losing the family relationships I thought I had, the anger at the entitlement and demands, the relief at finally having clarity about who my children really were, the peace that came with setting firm boundaries. Some people show their true character when money enters the picture, Dr. Wilson said in one session. Your children showed you they valued your money more than your relationship. Believing them, believing what they showed you, isn't cruel. It's self-protection. I keep wondering if I'm being too harsh. Let me ask you this, if a stranger broke into your house and demanded money, refused to leave when you said no, what would you do? Call the police? You did that. The only difference is these weren't strangers. They were people you'd trusted your whole life, people you'd sacrificed for. That makes the betrayal worse, not better. You're not being harsh, you're being rational. 6 months passed. My birthday came in November. Usually it was a big family gathering, all 4 children, their spouses, the grandchildren, extended family, 20 or more people. This year, silence, no calls, no cards, no visits. I spent the day with friends from church and the library. We went to lunch, saw a movie, laughed together. That evening, my friend Margaret asked, how does it feel? Your first birthday without your kids? Peaceful, I said, surprising myself. No pressure, no guilt. No feeling like I have to perform gratitude for their attention. Do you miss them? I miss who I thought they were, but that was an illusion. They showed me the truth. I'm grateful for that, actually. Thanksgiving approached. For 30 years, I'd hosted Thanksgiving dinner. 20-plus people in my house, cooking for days, cleaning for days before and after. This year, I volunteered at the homeless shelter instead, served meals to people who were truly hungry, truly struggling, truly grateful. It was the best Thanksgiving I'd had in years. Christmas came. My house used to be packed with people, presents, chaos. This year, quiet, peaceful. I decorated a small tree, watched classic holiday movies, donated the money I would have spent on gifts to the toy drive. On Christmas Day, I cooked myself a nice dinner, called my sister who lived in Atlanta, and went to bed early. No stress, no obligation, no guilt, just peace. New Year's Eve arrived. I reflected on the year. 1 year since winning the lottery, 6 months since my children had demanded their share. 6 months of silence from them, and I was okay. Actually, I was better than okay. I was at peace. My $1.4 million sat in the irrevocable trust, invested conservatively, growing steadily. I lived comfortably on my pension and part-time library income. I volunteered 15 hours a week, at the library, the food bank, a literacy program. Without the constant pressure from my children demanding my time, my money, my attention, I had freedom. Freedom to live my life on my terms. And it felt wonderful. 2.5 years passed. It was February again. My 75th birthday. I'd long since unblocked my children's numbers. They'd stopped calling months ago, and I figured the harassment was over. My phone rang. Marcus. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Hello? Mom. Happy birthday. His voice was warm, friendly, like nothing had ever happened. Thank you, Marcus. How are you doing? We haven't talked in. Wow, it's been a while. I'm well, and you? Good, good. Listen, Mom, I was thinking, maybe we could get together sometime. I'd really like to see you. I was immediately suspicious. Why now? I've just been thinking about family, about how important you are to us. I miss you, Mom. I see. So could we maybe have coffee, just the two of us? Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met the following week at a coffee shop. Marcus arrived with flowers, a bouquet of tulips, my favorites. He smiled warmly, hugged me, acted like the loving son I remembered from years ago. Mom, I've really missed you. The whole family has. Is that so? Yeah. The grandkids ask about you all the time. They miss their grandma. I sipped my coffee and said nothing. I want to apologize for how we handled things with the lottery. We were wrong to pressure you like that. I see that now. What made you see it? Just time, reflection. Realizing that money isn't as important as family. Interesting timing. What do you mean? I looked at him directly. Marcus, you haven't spoken to me in 2.5 years. Now, suddenly, you want to reconnect? You bring flowers, you apologize. You talk about family being important. What changed? He looked uncomfortable. I realized I missed you. Or you realized I'm 75 now. Actuarial tables say women my age have maybe 10 to 15 years left, on average. You're thinking about the will. You're thinking that maybe if you're back in my good graces, I might change the trust. Mom, that's not. Isn't it? Be honest with me, Marcus. If I hadn't won the lottery, would you be here right now with flowers and apologies? Long silence. I like to think I would, but you're not sure. I don't know, Mom. I honestly don't know. At least he was being truthful. I appreciate the apology, and I'm willing to have occasional coffee with you. But Marcus, understand this. The trust is irrevocable. I cannot change it. Even if I wanted to, which I don't, I legally cannot access those funds or redirect them. They're going to charity when I die. That's final. His face fell slightly, just for a moment. Then he recovered. I understand. That's not why I'm here. But I knew it was, at least partly. Over the following weeks, each of my other children reached out. Denise invited me to dinner. Kevin sent a card, just because. Shanice offered to drive me to a doctor's appointment. All of them suddenly very interested in my life again. I accepted occasional coffee dates. Declined most other invitations. Kept the conversations superficial. Didn't let them back into my life fully. because I knew why they were really there. A year later, I was 76. One of my granddaughters, Jessica, Marcus's daughter, 22 years old, called and asked to have lunch. "I'd love to see you, Grandma. I've missed you." We met at a restaurant. Jessica was smart, articulate, just finishing college. I'd always liked her. "Grandma, I want you to know I had nothing to do with what happened with Dad and my aunts and uncles. I was away at school when all that went down." "I know, sweetheart. But I wanted to ask you something. Is there any way you'd reconsider the trust? Not for them, but for us." The grandkids, here it was. "What do you mean?" The college fund thing they asked for. "Most of us are drowning in student loans now. I owe $85,000. My cousins owe similar amounts. It would really help us if—" I held up my hand. "Jessica, do you know why I said no to your father? Because he was pushy about it. Because he felt entitled to money that wasn't his. Because he valued what I could give him more than who I am as a person. You're doing the same thing right now. That's not fair. I'm just asking for money. Money I won by buying a lottery ticket with my own money. Money that belongs to me. Money you think you deserve because we're related." Her face hardened. "Fine, I just thought you'd want to help your grandchildren. I guess I was wrong. I do want to help people. That's exactly why my money is going to fund scholarships for low-income students. Kids who have absolutely nothing, not kids whose parents have good jobs but made poor financial choices." She stood up abruptly. This was a waste of time. "Jessica, wait," but she was already gone. Word got back to my children that even the grandchildren couldn't change my mind. A week later, Patricia called me. "Gloria, I wanted you to know, your children consulted an attorney about contesting the trust." My heart sank. "Can they do that?" They tried. They went to a lawyer and asked if they had grounds. The lawyer reviewed the trust documents and told them no. "The trust was set up while you were clearly competent. There's no evidence of undue influence. It's irrevocable. They have no legal standing to challenge it." Did they try anyway? No. Once they learned they'd lose and have to pay legal fees for nothing, they dropped it. So my own children actually explored taking legal action against me to get my money. I'm sorry, Gloria. Don't be. It just confirms they still only care about the money, even after all this time. Present day, 3 years since the lottery win. I'm 75 years old, healthy and active. Still working part-time at the library because I enjoy it. Volunteering 15 hours a week at the food bank, the literacy center, and my church. My $1.4 million has grown to about $1.7 million through conservative investments. I live on my pension and part-time income. Touch the trust principle occasionally for special things, a nice dinner, theater tickets, a donation to a cause I care about. But mostly, I live modestly. The money gives me security, not a lavish lifestyle. My children still call on my birthday and major holidays. I'm polite, even warm, but the boundaries remain firm. I don't share details of my life. Don't invite them over often. Decline most invitations. Maintain cordial distance. Last Christmas, I allowed them all to come to my house. They brought gifts, made small talk, acted like a loving family. I played along. After they left, my friend Margaret asked, "How did that feel?" Hello, they were performing. Trying to get back in my good graces, so maybe I'll remember them in some other way financially. Do you think they've changed? No, I think they're being strategic. But the trust is irrevocable. It doesn't matter how nice they are now. My life is peaceful in a way it never was before. I funded a full scholarship at my old high school. One low-income student gets a full ride every year, tuition, books, room, and board. Donated $100,000 to the food bank during the pandemic when hunger spiked. Quietly help neighbors in need, pay an electric bill here, buy school supplies there. Do good with money without broadcasting it, and I feel no regret about my decision. Final scene, I'm at the library, shelving books in the biography section when a young woman approaches me. "Excuse me, are you Gloria Thompson?" I turn. She's about 19, black, dressed in college sweatshirt. "Yes, I'm Destiny Williams. I'm the Gloria Thompson Scholar at my high school. I wanted to meet you and say thank you. My scholarship, my heart swells. How is school, Destiny?" "Amazing. I'm studying nursing at Wayne State. I'm the first person in my family to go to college. Without your scholarship, I'd be working retail right now. Instead, I'm going to be a nurse. We talk for 20 minutes. She tells me about growing up with her grandmother after her mother died, about working 2 jobs in high school, about almost giving up on college because she couldn't afford it, about getting the letter saying she'd won the scholarship. Full tuition, books, room and board, everything. It changed my life, she says simply. You earned it, Destiny. The scholarship just removed the barriers. You did the hard work. Still, thank you. You saved me. After she leaves, I sit at the circulation desk for a long moment. I think about my 4 children. Marcus is doing fine, still has his sales job, still has his house. Denise and Robert worked their way out of credit card debt by budgeting better. Kevin and Jennifer bought a smaller house and are managing fine with the twins. Shanice and David paid off the medical bills over time. None of them actually needed my money. They just wanted it, and I'm so glad I said no, because my money is helping Destiny, and dozens like her who I'll never meet, feeding hundreds of families through the food bank, supporting civil rights legal defense through the NAACP, funding programs for underprivileged kids in Detroit schools, doing real good in the world. I pull out the journal I've been keeping. Right. 3 years since the lottery win. 3 years since my children showed me who they really are. I have no regrets about my choice. The money is doing good in the world. Real good. Helping people who actually need it, not people who simply want it. My children learned they can't pressure me into anything, and I learned I'm stronger than I thought. I don't need their approval. I don't need their love if it comes with conditions and price tags. I have friends who care about me for who I am, not what I have. I have purpose through my volunteer work. I have peace. That's worth more than $2 million. I close the journal, return to shelving books, content with my choices, comfortable in my boundaries, at peace with the distance from children who only wanted my money, living my life on my terms. Tomorrow, I'll volunteer at the food bank. Next week, I'll have coffee with Margaret and Louise. Next month, I'll meet another scholarship recipient. This is my life now. And it's good. I won the lottery twice, once with the ticket, once by learning who my children really were before it was too late to protect myself.